In 1963, President John F. Kennedy decided to travel to Texas to smooth over frictions in the state's Democratic between Senator Ralph Yarborough and Governor John Connally. Was first agreed upon by Kennedy, Johnson, and Connally during a meeting in El Paso in June. The motorcade route was finalized on November 18 and announced soon thereafter. Kennedy also viewed the Texas trip as the launch of his 1964 re-election campaign. On November 22, Air Force One arrived at Dallas Love Field at 11:48. President Kennedy and his wife boarded a Lincoln limousine to travel to a luncheon at the Dallas Market Center. Other occupants of this vehicle, the second in the motorcade, were Secret Service Agent Bill Greer, who drove, Special Agent Roy Kellerman in the front passenger seat, and Governor Connally and his wife Nellie, who sat just forward of the Kennedys. 4 Dallas police motorcycle officers accompanied the Kennedy limousine. Vice President Johnson, Second Lady, Lady Bird, and Senator Yarborough rode in another convertible. The motorcade's 10-mile route through Dallas was designed to give Kennedy maximum exposure to crowds by passing through a suburban section of Dallas and Main Street in downtown Dallas, before turning right on Houston Street. After another block, the motorcade was to turn left onto Elm Street, pass through Dealey Plaza, and travel a short segment of the Stemmons Freeway to the Trade Mart. The planned route had been reported in newspapers several days in advance. Despite concerns about hostile protesters, Kennedy was greeted warmly by enthusiastic crowds. From Houston Street, the limousine made the planned left turn onto Elm, passing the Texas School Book Depository as it continued down Elm Street. Multiple shots were fired. About 80% of the witnesses recalled hearing 3 shots. The Warren Commission, which was formed to investigate the assassination, concluded that 3 shots were fired and noted that most witnesses recalled that the second and third shots were bunched together shortly after Kennedy began waving. Some witnesses heard the first gunshot, but few in the crowd or motorcade reacted, many interpreting the sound as a firecracker or backfire. Per the Warren Commission's single bullet theory, 1 bullet caused Kennedy's non-fatal wound and Connally's wounds. Conspiracy theorists, neglecting that Kennedy was not directly behind Connally, claim that the trajectory required a magic bullet. Within 1 second of each other, Governor Connally and Mrs. Kennedy turned abruptly from their left to their right. Connally immediately recognized the sound as that of a rifle and turned his head and torso rightward. Noting nothing unusual behind him, he testified that he could not see Kennedy, so he started to turn forward again, and that when his head was facing about 20 degrees left of center, he was struck in his upper right back by a shot he did not hear, then shouted, "My God, they're going to kill us all." At 12:38 p.m., Kennedy arrived in the emergency room of Parkland Memorial Hospital. Although Kennedy was still breathing after the shooting, his personal physician, George Berkeley, immediately saw that survival was impossible. After Parkland surgeons performed futile cardiac massage, Kennedy was pronounced dead at 1 p.m., 30 minutes after the shooting. CBS host Walter Cronkite broke the news on live television.
From Dallas, Texas, the flash, apparently official, President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, some 38 minutes ago. Vice President Lyndon Johnson has left the hospital in Dallas, but we do not know to where he has proceeded. Presumably, he will be taking the oath of office shortly and become the 36th President of the United States.
John F. Kennedy's assassination was the first of 4 major assassinations during the 1960s, coming 2 years before the assassination of Malcolm X in 1965 and 5 years before the assassinations of Martin Luther King Jr. and Robert F. Kennedy in 1968. For the public, Kennedy's assassination mythologized him into a heroic figure. Although scholars typically regard Kennedy as a good but not great president, public opinion polls consistently find him the most popular post-World War II president. Kennedy's murder left a lasting impression on many, as with the attack on Pearl Harbor of December 7, 1941, and, much later, the September 11 attacks in 2001. Asking "Where were you when you heard about President Kennedy's assassination?" became a common topic of discussion.